Imagine for a moment you're on top of the world, 50,000 people are screaming your name, but every time you open your mouth to sing, you can feel a monster crawling its way up your throat. What if the thing you're most terrified of isn't some demon under your bed, but a demon stitched into your very DNA? A demon that feeds on one thing, your silence. In this video we're talking about Rumi from K-pop Demon Hunters, half demon frontwoman of Huntrix. Her secret shame is a little demon heritage that is chewing through her voice, her career and her sanity. Her fight to quit hiding, to own the part of herself she was told to exile, and to step back into the spotlight is the clearest, most visceral map I've ever seen for tackling that gremlin in their own heads. You know the one, it's the one that whispers, don't get too comfortable, screw up just once and they'll all know that you're a total fake. This isn't about fancy psychological jargon. There's no 12-step workbook here. This is a pop choreography of demons, friendship, and one ugly, undeniable truth. The more you shove the part of you that you hate into the basement, the louder it's going to bang on the pipes. So stick around. By the final chorus of this deep dive, you'll have a blueprint for how to crack open that basement door, hand your own demon a microphone, and turn its guttural growl into your money note. You can lie, but your body can't. You tell the world you're fine, paste on a smile, and insist that you're thriving, but the tension headache, the knot in your stomach, the voice that cracks right when you need it most, that's your body calling BS for your own performance. In K-pop Demon Hunters, Rumi's half-demon blood shows up as black ink veins on her skin. She covers them, but every time she hides the mark, she loses a part of her vocal range. The film calls this what it is, psychosomatic honesty. Your body keeps a perfect score of all the truths that you refuse to speak. Shame demands secrecy and silence to survive. Feed it both and it'll pay you back in anxiety, stage fright, and a voice that fails you, just like mine nearly did. Let's break down the mechanics of shame. Rumi's black ink veins are the perfect visual for the parts of ourselves we deem unacceptable. In interviews, she spackles them with industrial strength concealer, the exact way real-world idols, and us, paste on the perfect student smile or the always professional work face. We're all performing a cover-up. Whether it's strangeness in a conservative family, the crushing weight of student debt, a chaotic upbringing we don't talk about, or even raw naked ambition that we're afraid will make us look ruthless. We lock these chunks of ourselves away, convinced that they're social poison. And the movie brilliantly shows that the true power of shame isn't in what others might do, but in what we think they will do. We notice how a Demon King never actually swings a punch at Rumi. He doesn't need to. He just murmurs and whispers the most devastating line imaginable. They'll bail the second they see the real you. That line just lands everywhere. Because it's the exact script our own inner critic uses. Its entire game is to convince you that the revelation equals rejection. So we bolt the door on our own truth, chuck away the key, and then spend our lives wondering why our own house feels so haunted. The movie shows us the first step to dismantling that haunting. It's not a grand battle, it's a quiet confession. The instant Rumi finally names the demon, first herself in a fogged up mirror, then to her bandmates, its power is immediately cut. It doesn't vanish, the veins don't fade, but its leverage, its ability to blackmail her with the threat of exposure gets cut in half. And as Rumi's arc proves, half is more than enough breathing room to keep singing. And the monster's still there. We know it's always going to be there, but it's no longer the one that's in charge. And that's the important lesson, understanding acceptance of it being there, but being able to take control and charge of it. Admit it, you're living a double life. There's the curated, Instagram-worthy you, and there's the 2 AM doom-scrolling you. The brunch photos on Instagram, and the credit card bill that paid for them. The bigger the gap between those two lives, the more you're convinced that only the glossy, perfect version deserves to be loved. In the movie, Rumi's agency tells her, you're a pop star, but you also slay demons after rehearsal. So, try not to get snapped levitating. Cool. This impossible standard creates an invisible scoreboard of not enough, balancing too many things at once. That not enough lights up every time she messes up. Perfectionism is shame's favourite amplifier. The world of K-pop is the perfect sandbox to explore this. The industry trains idols to treat their very identity like a concept album. You have your cute era, you have your girl crush era, your dark and your edgy era. You just swap the pastels for smudged eyeliner and keep the beat going. Fans fall in love with the polish that companies bank on the fantasy, but the person in the middle learns a dangerous lesson to treat the real me as a temporary variable, not a permanent constant. Rumi's situation just adds more layers of absurdity to it. Every time she lands a nice sharp kick on the music show, she gets a point. But every time she botches a land in the demon realm during a midnight hunt, she loses 5. We run the exact same mental tally. We kill it in a presentation at work, +1. We snap at a partner because we're exhausted, -5. The wider that gap between our performed self and our struggling self becomes, the more terrifying the idea of anyone seeing behind the curtain. And the movie gives a chilling vision of where this leads with the rival group, the Saja Boys. They go full tilt into the hall performance, siphoning the energy of their fans' cheers like a drug, or dopamine, while the real people inside them starve, becoming more and more empty with every sold-out show. That's the cautionary tale. The film's quiet flex has shown that the crowd will scream for you either way, whether you're selling them empty fame or honest art. So you may as well pick the one that doesn't require you to hold your breath 23 hours a day. Rumi's turning point is when she finally wipes the concealer off her collarbone, mid-award show, under the glare of 1,000 cameras. No stunt double, no filter, just her truth. And the gasp that you hear from the audience, it's not disgust. It's a collective audible sigh of relief. It's the sound of thousands of people realising that if she can survive her imperfection, maybe they can too. As it turns out, fans and friends and partners don't actually need you to be perfect. They just need proof that imperfection is survivable. And we idolise all these people who we see as perfect, but they're struggling just like the rest of us. And that's what we need to see. What if your biggest flaw isn't a flaw at all, but a power source that you've been told to fear? What if it's not a parasite, but live wiring? In the movie's ending, Rumi doesn't defeat her demon side, she fuses with it. She stops treating her secret shame like poison and starts treating it like an asset. Because power doesn't come from ripping out the parts of you that you hate. It comes when you finally complete the connection. Now, this scene in particular is a masterclass in what therapists call integration. It's not a soft, focused group hug or a gentle pat in the back or all whooper duper hype. It's a violent, painful, but beautiful act of self-reclamation. For the entire movie, Rumi has been fighting against a part of herself. All her energy has been spent on suppression, on hiding, on pretending, but in the moment she turns toward it, the shattering of her reflection is symbolic. She's destroying this image of the perfect Rumi she's been trying to uphold for so long. The crimson glow signifies that this part of her was never dead or evil, it was just dormant, waiting to be activated by acceptance, not rejection. And the result is immediate. Once she owns her demon heritage, the chronic vocal fry that's been plaguing her disappears. Not that I don't mind a bit of vocal fry. The high C that she's been out of reach for months suddenly returns, clearer and more powerful than ever. And even more importantly, she can finally look her friends in the eye without feeling like a ticking time bomb of secrets. The response from her band Huntrix is the final piece of the puzzle. They don't say, "Oh, you're a demon, but we love you anyway." They simply say, "We love you." Period. That's what good acceptance is, and that's what it should be. They don't qualify their acceptance, and that's the exact script needed to finally put shame off its throne. Is finding that acceptance in the right people. The real-life translation of this is about reframing your relationship with your own perceived flaws. Next time your stomach does a flip before you post something raw on social media or before you confess a vulnerability to a friend, try swapping the internal script. Don't think, "I hope this doesn't scare them away." Think, "This is a cover charge for the people I want to have up close." The things you're most afraid of to share are often the very things that will make the right people feel closer to you. The acceptance of this is what you have to pay to be close to me. Saying it or hitting send the first time might feel like leaping off a skyscraper, but the 10th time it starts to feel like stepping off a curb. And then you start to set boundaries and standards for how you want a relationship with someone to be. And it's much easier when there's no more hiding. If any of this is hitting home for you, if you're tired of the performance and ready to start integrating, do me a wee quick favour, smash the subscribe button. Think of it as pressing yes to more conversations where we stop treating pop culture like junk food and start using it as protein for the parts of us that need strengthening. Let's be real, the algorithm isn't going to nudge you towards self-acceptance at 3 in the morning when the doom scrolling hits. That little red button is the only reminder you've got. So tap it now, and I promise to keep cooking up these deep dives into the stories that shape us. Alright, we've sat in the theory, now let's get tactical. Talk about this stuff is great, but doing it is what changes your life. So here's a concrete 5-step playbook inspired by Rumi's journey, designed to move your inner demon from a tyrant to a tenant. Step 1 is spotting the mask. Your first mission is to become an expert detective of your own performances. Take out a piece of paper, write down the 3 roles you slip into most often without even thinking. It could be the good daughter, the chill, low-maintenance friend, or the office hero who has it all together. Now, under each of those roles, get brutally honest and scribble down what you believe you absolutely must hide to stay cast in that role. What can the good daughter never admit? What can the chill friend never need? Seeing it laid out in black and white does something magical. It pries the shame loose from your subconscious. It's no longer this atmospheric kind of weather system that you're living in. It's just a forecast. And a forecast is something you can read and prepare for. Step 2 is micro-disclosure. You don't start by revealing your deepest trauma. You start by building the muscle. Pick the safest human you know, the friend who's already seen you at your absolute messiest, and reveal something tiny with no consequences. Confess that you despise cilantro, even though everyone loves it. I do enjoy it. Admit you still haul a tattered childhood blanket with you everywhere you go. Or that you have no idea how to properly invest your money. Guilty. These are tiny reps of truth. Each time you share a small vulnerability and the world doesn't end, you're neurologically rewiring your brain to understand that revelation doesn't equal rejection. And we've all got loads of them. We're just too scared to say it. Then step 3 is we reframe the flaw. This is where you reclaim your power. Look at one of the things that you wrote down that you hide. Let's say it's sensitivity. Your whole life your inner critic has told you, I'm too sensitive. Your job is to fire that critic and hire a new publicist. The new script is, I catch frequencies that other people miss, which isn't a bad thing. Or maybe your shame is about being disorganized. You swap, I'm a total mess for my creative process is chaotic and non-linear. Me again. This isn't about lying to yourself, it's about changing the language you use, which promotes a trait from a defect to a tool. It flips things from being a liability to a potential asset. Then step 4, shame thrives in isolation, empathy thrives in connection. After you perform a micro-disclosure, don't just leave it hanging in the air. Close the loop by inviting the other person in. After you share, simply ask, is there anything you've been clutching too tightly? Vulnerability is a boomerang. It always comes back to you. Suddenly the conversation isn't a spotlight on your isolated horror story. It's a shared experience of being human. This is how you build against an army, against your inner critic. Step 5, run your integrity check. This is your new compass. Before you make big decisions, or even small ones, like what to post online, ask yourself one question. Am I doing this for the applause, or am I doing this for the alignment? Am I doing this for external applause or because it feels true to my internal self? The claps and applause will fade away. Likes, tweets and praise are all temporary sugar highs, back to that dopamine again. But the alignment, that feeling of your inside matching your outside, compounds over time. Run these 5 steps consistently and I promise you that demon voice will move from booming surround sound to a faint background hum. You won't become fearless, you'll become brave, which is infinitely more useful. Ever wonder why screaming your favourite lyrics in traffic feels really good? That's not just car seat therapy, it's a biological weapon. In K-pop demon hunters, monsters literally feed on shame, but they're paralysed by music that carries raw, unfiltered honesty. This sounds like fantasy, but it's straight neuroscience. Singing tells your brain's alarm system that the threat is manageable, while your voice literally metabolises your stress into harmless sound waves, so your voice is a weapon. The film visualises that concept perfectly. The demons are intangible shadowy figures who grow stronger in silence and secrecy. They are, for all intents and purposes, personified anxiety. But when Rumi or her bandmates sing with genuine emotion, the sound waves become visible, acting as a shield or a blast. This is a metaphor for a very real process. When we suppress emotion, grief, rage, joy, we trap all that energy into our bodies. It becomes tension, anxiety or depression. Expression is the release valve. Rumi's grand finale isn't a bloody physical battle, it's a single perfectly sustained whistle note. A note that she could only hit after accepting her whole self. That is so pure in its emotional truth that it liquefies the Dreaming King's armour, exposing the scared small creature underneath. The ultimate takeaway here is that your voice, whether it's little singing voice or your metaphorical voice through writing, art, or speaking up, or creativity, becomes a weapon when it carries your truth frequency. So next time you feel that shame or anxiety creeping in, don't just sit there in silence, metabolise it. Journal it out loud. Send a long rambling voice note to a trusted friend. Draw, paint, anything creative. Go to a karaoke bar and scream Rage Against the Machine into a microphone, whatever does best. Heavy metal works. The medium for it doesn't really matter. Unfiltered expression is the key. Each time you choose an honest sound over silent self-bullying, you starve the demon and you feed the artist inside of you. When a crisis hits, your first instinct is to hide it. Go into lockdown, fix a problem, pretend it never happened, but that's a fatal mistake. because the secret is always more toxic than the scandal. When Rumi finally tells her bandmates she's part demon, their panic isn't about the demon, it's about their career. But when they ask a question, that changes everything. Okay, so how do we tweak the choreography for your tale? That pivot from individual shame control to collective problem solving is everything. Huntrix almost split up, but it's not because of a demon, but because of the secret of a demon. Rumi's isolation creates suspicion and distance. The other members feel like they're going crazy, unable to put their finger on what's wrong. This is the insidious nature of keeping secrets within a team or a family. It creates a false reality that forces everyone else to question their own intuition. But the moment the truth is out, the dynamic realigns. The problem is no longer Rumi's secret shame, it becomes our collective challenge. And that's a universal principle that works in any squad, from a K-pop group to a corporate team to a family. We're taught to believe that trust is a fragile piece of crystal that will shatter upon impact with a difficult truth, because many of us are brought up in situations we're told not to say the truth. This film argues the opposite. Trust isn't crystal, it's a muscle that only grows when placed under tension. When you refuse to share your burdens, you're robbing your people of the opportunity to get stronger with you. Bringing the truth to your people is terrifying. There's often an awkward, painful pause after the confession, but if you can survive that pause, you get to watch something incredible happen. You see your people step up to spot you. Like the gym bros, when the weight bar gets too heavy, authenticity won't magically keep every relationship in your life alive. Some people might walk away, but that's okay, because it absolutely guarantees that the right ones, the ones who are willing to help you figure out your new choreography, will level up with you. And it's a lovely little filter to use to find out who are the true people you need in your life and the ones you don't. Ever look at someone with millions of followers and wonder if they're desperately lonely? In the film, the Saja Boys are the kings of empty fame. They've got millions of likes, but zero real connection. Their power is fueled by the stolen cheers of their fans, an addiction that leaves them hollow after every sold-out show. And the movie asks a quiet, devastating question. Are you chasing applause, or are you building a life? Because one is a sugar high, and the other is a feast. The contrast between Huntrix and the Saja Boys is a masterclass in two different kinds of fuel. The Saja Boys run on external validation. It's cheap, it's fast, and it's highly addictive, but it requires a constant escalating performance of perfection. The moment they show a crack, the illusion shatters, and the power source vanishes. They are, in essence, fame junkies. Rumi's Journey, on the other hand, shows the power of integrity as a slow drip fuel source. It's not as flashy, the initial high isn't as intense, but there's no brutal crash. By the end of the film, Rumi walks off stage filled with a quiet steadiness, while the Saja Boys, despite winning the bigger award, look frantic and depleted, already worrying about their next hit. Here's a translation for your own life. Audit 1. Just one metric you find yourself chasing daily. It could be steps on your Fitbit, retweets on X, matches on a dating app, or the number of unread emails in your inbox. Now look at that number and ask yourself the brutal question. Does this number mirror an inside I'm proud of, or an outside I hope will impress strangers? Just ask the question. Then try to trade one external scoreboard for one internal compass, and check each day. Maybe instead of checking your likes, you check in with yourself and ask, did I act in alignment with my values today? Do this enough and you'll start to feel the same quiet, unshakable steadiness that Rumi has when the demon smoke finally clears. Here's the final truth, the one I want you to burn into your brain. The world sells you a fantasy of perfection, but what your soul is starving for is proof of imperfection. In the finale, a leaked demo track, complete with a cracked vocal note, charts higher than the polished auto-tuned single. Why? Because that crack, that tiny flaw, is where the humanity gets in. It's proof that you don't have to be perfect to be powerful, especially in a modern world and society where everything seems to be perfect, where everything looks polished, where we have auto-tune and all these other things together. And this is the ultimate lesson. We live in a world that sells us flawlessness as a goal. Perfect skin, perfect careers, perfect relationships, perfect everything. What we truly crave, what we are starved for, is humanity. We are desperate for proof that other people are messy, flawed, and struggling just like us. The cracked note going viral is that symbol for this deep collective need. Your life probably won't get a dramatic soundtrack moment like that, but it will offer you 1,000 quiet daily choices between two questions. Does this need to be flawless? And does this need to be real? Does this email need to be perfectly worded? Or does it just need to be sent? Does this photo need perfect lighting? Or does it just need to capture the real joy of the moment? If you pick real enough times, something incredible starts to happen. That inner demon, the one you've been fighting, hiding, and hating for years, begins to morph. It goes from being a stalker in your head to being a weird roommate. It's still there, It occasionally steals your yogurt from the fridge, plays its crappy music a bit too loud, but it also pays its rent in the form of creativity, courage, and a depth you never had when you're trying to be perfect. And according to K-pop demon hunters, that's not a life free of demons, but a life where you've learned to live with them. That's as close to a happily ever after as any of us are ever going to get. So here's the final takeaway. When Rumi finally accepted her demon half, the black ink veins didn't disappear. They didn't fade away into flawless skin. They glowed hotter, brighter, but by the power of ownership, not shame. Your inner critic, that voice that tells you you're a fake, is never going to completely vanish either. But it loses its power the moment you stop treating its whispers like classified intel and start treating them like raw verse material for your song. The great secret is that our secrets are what make us